I thought I was dead, but when I opened my eyes, the alien princess was beside me, crying. Alarms had screamed. Then there was a bright flash and everything went dark. He had thought he was dead. When he slowly opened his eyes, he could see a soft glow around him. The room was quiet, almost completely silent. John tried to move, but his body felt strange. It was heavy in some places and light in others. His muscles ached in ways he had never felt before. He blinked, trying to focus. At first, he saw only shadows. Then he noticed a figure kneeling beside him. She had long, flowing hair that shimmered in the light, and her skin was pale but glowed slightly. Her eyes were wide, filled with tears. She looked almost like she might vanish if he blinked too long. John realized with a start that she was crying. Who are you?" he asked, his voice weak and hoarse. It sounded strange to him, even though he recognized it as his own. The alien princess looked up, startled. She took a small step back, but her tears did not stop. You are alive," she said softly, almost as if she could not believe it herself. Her voice was melodic, gentle, and filled with emotion. I thought you were gone forever." John tried to sit up, but his body refused to respond properly. It was like he was learning to move again. He looked down at himself and saw his armor scratched and scorched. There were burns and dents all over it. He could see faint stains on the metal, but he could not tell if they were his blood or something else. Where am I?" John whispered. He felt a chill run down his spine. Nothing in this room looked like Earth or the ships he had known. It was smooth, with curved walls that glowed softly. The air smelled faintly sweet, unlike anything he had ever encountered. There were strange shapes moving gently along the walls, almost like living lights. The princess, whose name he later learned was Lyra, knelt closer to him. She reached out a trembling hand. "You were hurt badly," she said. "The healers, they did everything they could. You should not be here, yet somehow you survived." John tried to speak again. Healers, what do you mean? I thought I was dead." Lyra shook her head, her tears still falling. "No, you are very alive. We saved you. It is a miracle that you are still here." She looked at him with a mixture of awe and fear. Humans are not supposed to survive what you went through. You are different." John tried to sit upright again. This time his body obeyed slightly. He could feel the pain, but it was duller than he expected. He looked around and saw more figures in the room. They were tall, their skin pale like Lyra's, and their hands glowed with a soft light. They moved around him carefully, adjusting instruments and whispering among themselves. "They saved you," Lyra explained, noticing his gaze. They did not rest for days. They used all their knowledge, everything they could, to keep you alive." She paused and took a deep breath. "They said it was impossible, yet you are here." John tried to understand. He had fought in many battles, seen death around him countless times, but he had never felt anything like this. He had thought the end had come for him. He had accepted it. But now, lying here, he realized he had a chance. A chance he did not understand, and a chance that scared him more than dying ever had. Why are you crying?" John asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lyra looked down at her hands. She could not answer right away. Finally she said, I thought I would never see anyone like you again. Someone brave, someone human, and now you are alive. And I should not feel this, but I am afraid of losing you again." John did not know what to say. He had never met anyone like her. Not from Earth, not anywhere. She was beautiful, otherworldly, and full of emotion. Her tears fell like small drops of light on the floor. He wanted to comfort her, but he barely knew how to comfort himself. He looked around the room again. He saw strange devices and glowing symbols along the walls. Some of them moved, changing shape and color as if alive. He realized that the aliens who had saved him were advanced beyond anything humans had imagined. They could heal wounds that would have killed a human instantly. They could repair burns and fractures in hours. John thought of the battle he had barely survived. He had taken hits that should have ended him, yet here he was. Lyra reached out again, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead. I thought I would never see your eyes again," she whispered. I did not know if anyone could survive what you did." John closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the warmth of her touch. He had been alone for so long after the battle, floating in darkness, believing he was gone. Now someone was here, someone who cared. It was strange, confusing, and comforting. "John Carter," Lyra said suddenly, using the name she had learned from the documents on his armor. "You fought for me, for my people. You took a blow that could have killed you, and yet you live." John tried to smile, but it hurt. I did what anyone would do," he said, though he did not really believe it. He had fought because he had no choice. But hearing her words, seeing her tears, made him feel more than he had expected. He felt pride, but also fear that he had survived when so many others had not. Lyra looked at him with wide eyes. "No human has ever done what you did. You are extraordinary." John felt a weight in his chest. He had always thought humans were fragile, weak, compared to the aliens they sometimes encountered. But now, hearing her words, he realized that humans could endure more than anyone expected. Even he had never realized how far he could go. He wanted to ask her many questions. He wanted to know how she felt, why she stayed here while the healers worked tirelessly. But his voice was still weak. He could only lie there and let her presence comfort him. She did not leave. She stayed by his side, her tears slowly stopping as she watched him move again. Outside the glowing room, John could hear faint sounds. He was not sure if they were ships, voices, or something else entirely. The sound made him nervous. He had spent so long in silence after the battle, drifting as if he were part of the void. Now even the smallest sound made him jump. Lyra noticed his fear. She put a gentle hand on his arm. "It is safe here," she said softly. "You are not in danger. For now, just rest. Recover. We will explain everything later." John nodded slowly. His body still ached, his mind still foggy from the near-death experience. But the presence of Lyra, her care and worry, gave him something he had not felt in a long time. Hope, maybe even trust. He looked at her again, really looked at her. Her eyes were bright, almost glowing in the soft light. She was human in some ways, but alien in many more. Her tears had stopped, but her gaze was filled with a deep emotion he could not name. He felt a strange pull toward her, not fully understanding why. "I do not know how to thank you," John said finally, "for saving me, for everything." Lyra shook her head. "It was not me alone," she said. "Many risked everything to keep you alive, but I watched. I prayed. And I cried, because I could not bear the thought of losing you." John felt a lump in his throat. He had faced death so many times, but never had anyone cared like this. Never had someone risked so much because of him. He realized then that survival was not just about strength. It was about connection, about someone caring enough to fight for you when the world seemed lost. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the feelings wash over him. The soft glow of the room, the warmth of Lyra's presence, the quiet whispers of the healers in the background, it all felt unreal. He had thought he was dead, but now he was not. And somehow he knew that his life had changed forever. He tried to speak again. "Lyra, why me?" She looked at him, her eyes wide and serious. "Because you are human, because you chose to protect me, because you showed courage when none was expected, and because I cannot forget you." John did not know what to say to that. He had never been remembered like this, never been seen as more than a soldier, a fighter, a weapon. But here, in this alien room with an alien princess kneeling beside him, he felt seen. And for the first time since the battle, he allowed himself to believe that he had a reason to live. John Carter slowly started to move his body. It was stiff, sore, and strange after days of being unconscious. Every limb felt heavy in one moment and light in the next. He tried to remember how he had ended up here, but his memories were blurred. The battle came back in flashes, the loud explosions, the alien weapons firing, the fire on the bridge. And then darkness. Lyra stayed close to him, her presence quiet but constant. She watched every small movement, her eyes careful and full of worry. When he tried to sit up, she reached out and helped him, her fingers gentle on his armor. "Take it slow," she said softly. "Your body needs time." John nodded, grateful but embarrassed that he could barely sit without help. I thought I was dead," he said again. His voice was weak, but he could hear the edge of disbelief in it. "I don't understand how I'm alive." Lyra's eyes were full of emotion. "You are alive because we refuse to let you go," she said. "My healers, they worked day and night. They used every skill they have, and they did not stop until they were sure you would live. Humans are not supposed to survive like this, but somehow you did." John tried to smile, but it hurt. He felt guilty. So many of his comrades had died in the battle. He had fought, survived, and yet others were gone. He could not shake the feeling that he did not deserve to live. I am sorry," he said quietly. "So many died, and I survived." "I don't know why." Lyra knelt closer, brushing her hand lightly over his arm. "It is not your fault," she said. "You did what any brave person would do. You protected others. And even if you survived, it does not mean you are weak. You are strong, stronger than we imagined humans could be." John looked at her, surprised. You really think humans are strong?" he asked, a little bitter. He had always been told that humans were fragile compared to the alien races. Lyra's eyes shone with conviction. "I know it," she said. "Your courage, your will, you survived when no one expected it. That shows strength that cannot be measured by armor or weapons. It is in your heart." He could not help but feel a strange warmth in her words. For so long, he had only seen humans as ordinary, weak, and limited. But her eyes, her voice, told him that maybe he was more than he had believed. The room around them was quiet. Healers moved gently, whispering in a language John could not understand. They used soft, light tools to check his body. His injuries were severe, but they were healing. The pain came in waves, sharp sometimes, dull others, but it was bearable now. He could feel his strength returning little by little. "You will need to rest," Lyra said. "Your body is not fully healed yet, but you can talk, you can move slowly. It will help." John nodded, leaning back slightly against the soft surface of the bed-like platform. He watched her closely. She did not leave his side even when the healers told her to rest. She stayed, watching him, worried, protective. It made him feel curious. Why did she care so much? She did not know him well, yet she was here by his side, crying for him, watching him heal. "Why do you stay?" he asked finally. "You could rest, you could leave. You have others to care for, your people. Why me?" Lyra's eyes met his, serious and gentle at the same time. "Because you fought for me," she said. "You risked everything for me. You showed courage and care when others would have turned away. I cannot ignore that. I had to stay. Even if I am a princess, even if I should not feel this, I could not leave you." John did not know what to say. He was used to being alone, to relying only on himself. But here was someone from another world, an alien who had risked so much and cared so deeply about him. It was overwhelming. He tried to speak again. I never thought anyone would care. Not like this. Not for me." Lyra's hand touched his lightly. Humans matter," she said softly. "Your choices, your courage, your care, they matter. Do not forget that." He took a deep breath, trying to absorb her words. He looked around the room at the glowing walls, the soft lights, the strange devices that moved with purpose. Everything was foreign, but somehow he felt safe. Lyra's presence made him feel like he could face the pain, the memories, even the guilt he carried. Over the next hours, John slowly regained more strength. He could sit fully, move his hands, even stand with support. Lyra helped him carefully, guiding his movements. She laughed softly when he nearly fell, and he felt a small spark of happiness he had not felt in weeks. It was strange to laugh, to feel safe, to have someone care so much. He learned a little about her world while resting. She told him about her people, their cities of light, They're healers who could mend wounds that no human doctor could imagine. She spoke of battles, not of death, but of courage and protection. John listened, fascinated. He realized that humans, while simple compared to her people in some ways, had something her world sometimes lacked: determination, loyalty, and courage born of choice, not duty. As days passed, Lyra never left him. She sat beside him, talking softly, asking questions about Earth, about human life, about John's memories of the battle. She seemed curious, kind, and deeply invested in his survival. He began to talk more, slowly opening up, sharing stories he had never told anyone. She listened, her eyes full of attention and empathy. John realized he was not only healing physically but emotionally. The weight of isolation, the fear of death, the guilt of survival, all of it began to lift, little by little, because someone cared. And not just anyone, someone from another world, someone who believed in him, who respected his courage. One evening, as the soft light of the room shifted from a pale blue to warm gold, Lyra spoke in a quiet voice. "John, you are changing the way my people see humans. They called humans weak, fragile, and incapable of real courage. But they watched you. They saw how you fought, how you survived, how you protected. And now they question what they believed." John felt a small surge of pride, but it was mixed with humility. He had not fought for recognition or glory. He had only done what he thought was right in the moment. Yet somehow, his actions were inspiring an entire world to see humans differently. "I never wanted to be a symbol," he said softly. "I just wanted to survive. I wanted to protect those I could." Lyra smiled faintly, brushing her hand against his. "Sometimes the right choices make symbols of us whether we want them or not. You are not weak. You are not ordinary. You are human, and that is enough to make a difference here." John closed his eyes for a moment, letting her words sink in. He thought of the battle, of the explosions, of the friends he had lost. He thought of the loneliness he had felt drifting in space, believing he was dead. And now, he was alive. Not just alive, but noticed, valued, and cared for. He opened his eyes and looked at Lyra. She smiled at him, a smile that seemed to hold warmth, hope, and understanding all at once. He felt a strange, new connection to her. It was not just gratitude or relief, it was something deeper. He did not understand it yet, but he knew it mattered. As the days turned into a week, John continued to heal. Lyra stayed with him every day, talking, laughing softly, even crying when she remembered how close he had come to death. The healers continued their work, but their presence became less necessary as John grew stronger. He could now move freely, sit without support, and even walk short distances with Lyra by his side. John realized that he had found something he had never expected: a friend, a protector, and perhaps something more in the alien princess who had refused to leave him. She had seen him at his weakest and still believed in him. She had watched over him when he could not move, had cried for him when she thought he was gone, and had never left his side. He knew, deep inside, that their bond was growing stronger with each passing day. It was not just the shared experience of battle or survival. It was the care, the attention, the unspoken understanding that life was fragile, but connection could make it meaningful. John thought of his own people, of Earth, and of the battles he had fought. He realized that courage was not about being unafraid. It was about standing up when fear was all around you. It was about protecting others, even when the odds seemed impossible. And somehow, Lyra had shown him that humans, even in the eyes of aliens far stronger and wiser, could inspire hope and courage through simple, human actions. For the first time since the battle, John Carter felt more than survival. He felt purpose. And he felt something he had never imagined in a world so strange and foreign: belonging. Lyra looked at him as he stood unassisted for the first time. Her eyes shone with pride and relief. "You are ready," she said softly, "not just to walk, but to face what comes next. You have shown strength, courage, and heart, and now you are ready to move forward." John nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He had survived the impossible. He had been healed when death seemed certain. And he had found someone who believed in him, not because of what he could do, but because of who he was. As he took his first careful steps across the glowing room, Lyra walked beside him, supporting him with gentle hands. He felt steady, not just physically, but inside. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, that challenges awaited him. But for the first time, he did not fear them alone. And in the quiet, glowing room of the alien palace, a human soldier and an alien princess began to build a bond that would change not only their lives, but the lives of countless others across the stars. John Carter could now move freely through the alien palace. The room he had first woken in no longer felt strange or frightening. The glow of the walls, the soft hum of the devices, even the quiet whispers of the healers, all of it had become familiar. Yet he knew he had only just begun to understand this world. Lyra walked beside him, guiding him through the corridors. Her hand brushed lightly against his arm now and then, a gesture that was gentle and comforting. John noticed that her people watched him as he passed. Some whispered to one another, some stared openly. He could feel their curiosity, their surprise. Humans they had thought were weak and fragile, but John had survived the impossible. Now they were watching him, wondering. "They are talking about me," John said softly, almost to himself. "I can feel it." Lyra nodded. "Yes," she said. "News of your survival spreads quickly. My people did not expect a human to endure what you did. Many are starting to see humans in a new way. You have shown them strength they did not believe humans could have." John felt a mix of pride and discomfort. He had not wanted recognition. He had only survived because he had no choice, because he had acted to protect Lyra and her people. Yet here he was, becoming something more than a soldier, a symbol of human courage. As they walked, Lyra explained more about her world. The alien empire was vast, with many planets under its control. Humans were mostly unknown, myths at best. Their people had never expected to meet humans in real life. Stories had spoken of their fragility, their short lives, their limits. And yet John had shattered all of those beliefs. "Why do you care so much?" John asked. "Why show me all this? Why tell me these things?" Lyra smiled faintly, her eyes serious. "Because I need you to understand, not just your survival, but what it means. Humans can inspire. They can change beliefs even here, and you have done that. Do not underestimate it." John nodded slowly. He had never thought of himself as an example to anyone. He had fought, survived, and endured. That was enough for him. But her words made him feel that perhaps he had done more than just survive. Perhaps he had begun to change the way an entire civilization saw his species. Over the next days, John began to meet more of Lyra's people. He saw soldiers, scientists, healers, and diplomats. Many observed him with quiet awe. Some asked questions about Earth, about humans, about how a human could survive what he had survived. John answered simply, describing Earth in plain words, telling them about human courage and choice. He noticed that Lyra often defended him. When some questioned if humans could ever truly be strong, she spoke up without hesitation. "You saw him survive," she said. "You saw what humans can endure. John Carter is proof that courage does not depend on species. It depends on heart." John felt embarrassed by the attention. He had never sought praise, but he could not deny the effect he had. Even the council of elders who had once doubted the humans listened when Lyra spoke. They asked questions, they debated, and slowly their perception began to change. One evening, Lyra took John to a large chamber filled with light and soft floating orbs. "This is where my council meets," she explained. "Tonight they will hear of your survival. They will hear of your courage. I want you to see it for yourself." John felt nervous. He had faced enemies, battles, even death. But speaking in front of an alien council was something entirely different. He did not know their language fully, but Lyra translated his words carefully. He stepped forward slowly. His armor was repaired, his wounds healed. Yet he felt the weight of the eyes upon him. Thousands of thoughts raced through his mind: fear, guilt, pride, humility. He began to speak. "I am John Carter," he said. "I am a human. I fought to protect someone who needed help. I did not think of glory. I only did what I had to do. Humans, we are not perfect. We make mistakes. We fail. But when it matters most, we try. We protect. We endure. I do not stand here to claim greatness. I stand here to show that courage is possible, even when it seems impossible." There was silence for a moment. Then the council murmured among themselves. Lyra watched him closely, proud and attentive. Slowly, the murmurs turned into nods. The elders whispered to one another, impressed. John could not read their exact words, but he could feel the shift in their perception. One elder stepped forward. "Your courage is remarkable, human," he said. Lyra translated. "Few beings could have survived what you endured. Fewer still would have acted as you did. You have shown strength not just of body but of spirit. Your species, your people, may have more to offer than we ever imagined." John felt a mixture of relief and disbelief. He had not expected such words. He had only tried to survive, to protect. Yet here in this alien chamber he realized that his actions could inspire. His choices could change minds. His courage, simple as it was, mattered. After the meeting, Lyra led him back to his quarters. "You see," she said, "humans are no longer invisible here. Your survival, your actions, they speak louder than words. You have made a difference." John shook his head. "I did not do it to change anyone's mind. I did it to survive, to protect. That is all." Lyra smiled softly. "Sometimes that is enough. Sometimes the simplest choices have the greatest impact." In the days that followed, John and Lyra spent more time together. They walked in the gardens, talked in quiet chambers, and shared stories of their worlds. John spoke of Earth, of oceans and forests, of cities and mountains. Lyra told him of her planets, their glowing cities, and the people who had cared for him. John noticed something he had not before. He felt a deep connection with her. It was not just gratitude for saving his life. It was something more subtle, more profound. Her presence calmed him, her voice gave him strength, and her belief in him inspired him. One afternoon, while they walked along a terrace that overlooked a glowing city, Lyra spoke. "John, your survival has changed more than just perceptions. It has changed hearts. People here, they see courage in a way they did not before, and they see humans differently. They see hope." John looked at her. I do not feel like a hero," he said quietly. "I just survived. I just kept going." Lyra's eyes met his. "That is what makes you extraordinary. You do not seek praise, you do not seek glory, you act because it is right, and that is the greatest courage of all." John felt a lump in his throat. He had never heard words like this before. He had fought battles, won and lost, but no one had ever spoken to him like this. It made him feel alive, understood, and seen. As the days passed, he began to notice the small ways his presence affected others. Guards would nod respectfully as he passed. Healers would smile when they saw him. Even children in the palace who had never seen a human before stared in wonder and sometimes waved. He realized that his existence here, his very survival, had given hope to many who had once doubted or feared. Lyra noticed the changes too. "You are teaching more than you know," she said one evening as they watched the twin suns set over the city. "You are showing them that strength is not just in weapons or numbers. It is in courage, in choices, in care. And you are human." John stayed silent for a moment, watching the suns dip below the horizon. He thought of his friends who had died, of the battle he had barely survived, of the loneliness and fear he had felt drifting in space. And he realized that his journey was far from over. He had survived, but now he had a responsibility to live fully, to inspire, and perhaps to bridge two worlds that had never truly understood each other. Lyra reached for his hand, her touch light but firm. "Together, we can make a difference," she said. Your courage, my voice, we can show my people and yours that strength is more than survival. It is hope, it is trust, it is the will to protect, and that is something humans do well. John looked at her hand in his own. He felt a surge of determination. He had survived the impossible, and now he understood that survival alone was not enough. He could use his strength, his experiences, and his courage to make a difference. Then we do it together, he said. His voice was firm, steady. We show them what humans can do, what they can inspire. Lyra smiled, her eyes shining in the soft light of the palace. Yes, she said, together. And so John Carter, the human soldier who had been expected to die, began to step into a new role. Not as a hero seeking glory, but as a symbol of hope, courage, and humanity. With Lyra by his side, he realized that even in a world so far from Earth, humans could change hearts, inspire belief, and create bonds that no one could have imagined. The palace no longer felt alien. The glowing lights no longer seemed strange. The whispers and curious eyes of the people no longer made him uneasy. John understood now that he had survived for a reason. Not just to live, but to inspire, to connect, and to show that even in the vast reaches of space, human courage could leave a mark that would be remembered far beyond one battle. And in the quiet moments, when he and Lyra walked together under the alien skies, he felt a deep sense of belonging. He had survived the impossible, earned the respect of another world, and found someone who believed in him completely. For John, it was no longer enough to simply survive. He wanted to live fully, to protect, to inspire, and to honor the people who had trusted him, believed in him, and healed him when death seemed certain. John Carter had begun to adjust to life in the alien palace. His body was stronger, his wounds healed, and his mind clearer. Yet he knew that being alive was only the beginning. The battles, the near-death experience, and the long period of recovery had changed him. He could not go back to being just a soldier. He had become something more, something that carried meaning beyond himself. Lyra stayed close to him as always. She walked beside him during his training, guided him in understanding the alien culture, and shared stories of her people. John found comfort in her presence. It was strange at first, a human and an alien, connected by an experience that had nearly cost his life. Yet the bond between them was growing stronger with every passing day. One morning, John and Lyra walked through a large hall filled with portraits and holographic images of past rulers and heroes. Lyra pointed to one, a woman who had led her people to victory in an ancient battle. She was brave, Lyra said, but she would have never survived what you survived, John. Your courage is unlike anything we have ever seen. John shook his head. I don't feel brave. I only did what I had to do. I wanted to protect you, that's all. Lyra looked at him seriously. That is what makes you brave. You acted when fear could have stopped you. You protected others, even at the edge of death. That is the kind of courage that changes minds and hearts. John looked at the portraits around them. He had never been considered a hero before. On Earth, he was just one of many soldiers, one of many people fighting for something bigger than themselves. Yet here, in a world so different from his own, he was seen as extraordinary. It was a strange feeling, but he could not deny it. Over the next days, John began to spend more time with the Alien Council. They had grown curious about him, about humans, and about what he could teach them. Lyra guided him, translating his words carefully, helping him explain human strength, courage, and loyalty. The council listened with increasing respect. They asked questions, some difficult, some simple, but all genuine. One day an elder asked, John Carter, why did you risk your life for a stranger, for our princess? John looked at Lyra, then back at the council. Because it was right, he said simply. I didn't think about reward or recognition. I thought about what had to be done. Humans, we try to protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is who we are. Lyra watched him closely, pride shining in her eyes. She knew that every word he spoke was changing the way her people thought. Slowly she saw the council members nod, whisper to each other, and consider the truth in his words. Humans were more than myths and stories. Humans had courage and heart. As John spent more time with the council, he also spent more time with Lyra alone. They walked in the gardens, talked in quiet chambers, and shared meals in the palace hall. She asked him about his life on Earth, about simple things he had once taken for granted. The taste of water from a river, the smell of rain, the sound of wind through trees. John described them with care, as if he were reliving moments he had almost forgotten. Lyra listened, fascinated. "You make it sound beautiful," she said. "Your world, it is alive, even in ways we cannot imagine. And yet, you survived here in our world and you inspire us." "It is remarkable," John smiled faintly. "I never thought I would matter here, not to anyone, not to aliens, not to anyone at all. I just survived." Lyra took his hand gently. "You do matter, more than you know. Your survival, your courage, your choices, they change everything. And I care about you, not just because you survived, but because of who you are." John felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had never experienced anything like this before. Someone from another world, someone so different, believed in him, cared for him, and saw value in him. It was humbling, overwhelming, and comforting all at once. As the days passed, John noticed more subtle changes around him. Palace guards treated him with respect, not just because of Lyra, but because of him. Healers spoke of his resilience. Even children began to recognize him, curious about the human who had survived the impossible. John realized that his presence alone was teaching them something about humanity. One afternoon, while walking through a terrace that overlooked the glowing city, Lyra spoke softly. "John, you have shown my people that courage is not about strength or power alone. It is about heart, choice, and will. Humans have these qualities in abundance, and now they see it clearly." John nodded slowly. I don't know if I did enough. So many died. I only survived. Does that really change anything?" Lyra looked at him with gentle determination. "It does. One person can change many minds. One act of courage can inspire countless others. You have done that. And you continue to do so, simply by living and being who you are." John thought of the battles, of the near-death moments, and of Lyra's tears when she thought he was gone. He realized that survival was not just about staying alive. It was about using that life to make a difference, to inspire, to protect, to care. Over time, John and Lyra grew closer. They shared quiet moments, talking about their fears, their hopes, and their memories. Lyra admitted that she had cried not only because she feared losing him, but because she had never expected someone to show such courage and heart. John admitted that he had never felt seen in such a way before. Their bond strengthened as they faced small challenges together. Palace officials sometimes doubted human strength. John and Lyra would work together to show them what humans could endure. He demonstrated his resilience, not through force, but through calm determination and persistence. Each success, each demonstration, earned more respect for humans. One evening, while the twin suns of the alien world set, John and Lyra walked along a quiet garden path. The air was warm, filled with a soft hum from the glowing plants. Lyra stopped and looked at him. "John, do you understand what you are teaching my people?" she asked. He shook his head. I don't think so. I just survive and I try to do what is right." Lyra smiled. "That is enough. That is more than enough. Humans are capable of courage, loyalty, and care in ways we did not believe possible. And you are proof. Your actions, your survival, your heart, they are changing how we see your kind." John felt a mixture of humility and pride. He had never wanted to be a hero or a symbol. He had only wanted to survive, to protect, to do what was right. Yet here, in this alien world, he had become more than he had imagined. He was a bridge between worlds, a symbol of courage, and a reminder that even one person could make a difference. In the following days, Lyra introduced John to more of her people. He met healers, engineers, and young cadets. They watched him, asked questions, and tried to learn from his experiences. John spoke simply, describing Earth, human resilience, and the importance of choice and courage. His words were translated by Lyra, but the meaning was clear. Humans had heart, humans had will, and humans could endure. John noticed that the alien people were changing. They no longer saw humans as myths or fragile creatures. They began to listen, to respect, and to consider the lessons John shared. Even the council, once doubtful, began to speak positively about humans. John realized that his survival was not just a personal victory. It was a turning point for his entire species in this world. One night, as he and Lyra sat under the soft glow of the palace lights, she spoke softly. "John, you have given hope to many. You have shown that courage is not just strength, but heart. You have taught my people something they could not learn from stories or history. And for that, I am proud of you." John looked at her, his chest tightening with emotion. I don't know what to say. I never expected this. I never thought I would matter to anyone, let alone an entire world." Lyra reached for his hand. "You do matter, more than you know. And together, we can help them see that courage, loyalty, and care are what truly define strength. Not power, not weapons, but heart." John felt a deep sense of purpose. He had survived the impossible, earned the respect of another world, and formed a bond that went beyond words. He realized that his journey was not just about living. It was about inspiring, teaching, and protecting. And with Lyra by his side, he knew they could change the perception of humans forever. As the sun set and the glowing city shimmered below, John Carter understood something profound. Survival was only the beginning. Courage was more than action. Strength was not just power. And human heart, in its simplicity and determination, could shine brighter than the stars themselves. He turned to Lyra, feeling a mixture of gratitude, respect, and something deeper he did not yet fully understand. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for believing in me, for staying with me, for everything." Lyra smiled, her eyes full of warmth and care. "You do not need to thank me, John. You have already given me hope, inspiration, and courage. We are in this together. And together, we will continue to show my people what humans are truly capable of." And in the quiet glow of the alien palace, John Carter, the human soldier who had been expected to die, felt the full weight and wonder of his journey. He had survived death, inspired another world, and formed a bond that would change not only his life, but the lives of countless others across the stars. He had begun to see clearly that the future was no longer just about survival. It was about connection, courage, and heart. And with Lyra by his side, he knew they were ready to face whatever came next. John Carter had grown stronger in every way, body, mind, and spirit. His wounds had healed, his strength had returned, and his mind was clear. But more importantly, he had grown in ways he had never imagined. He had survived the impossible, inspired a world that had once doubted humans, and formed a deep bond with Lyra, the alien princess who had refused to leave his side. The palace was alive with whispers and activity. News of John's survival had spread far and wide. Many aliens now spoke of humans with respect, even awe. Healers who had once doubted him shared stories of his endurance. Soldiers and cadets who had mocked humans now looked to John as an example. And Lyra, always by his side, guided him through every step, translating his words and helping others understand his perspective. One morning, John and Lyra stood on a terrace overlooking the glowing city. The twin suns painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson. The city below hummed with life, lights flickering across the buildings like stars come to rest on the ground. John took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the sun on his face and the weight of what he had achieved. "It is beautiful," he said softly. "Your world, it is incredible, and yet it feels like it is mine too now." Lyra looked at him, her eyes shining. "It is beautiful," she agreed. "And you have made it even brighter. You have shown my people what courage, heart, and loyalty truly mean. Humans are no longer unknown, John. They are seen. They are respected. John shook his head. I never expected this. I only wanted to survive, to protect. I didn't think I would change anything. Lyra reached for his hand, holding it firmly. Sometimes, what we do without thinking changes everything. You acted with heart without seeking reward. That is why you inspire. That is why you matter. As they stood together, a group of officials approached. The council of elders, the healers, and several guards walked with purpose toward them. John straightened, unsure what they wanted, but Lyra's calm presence gave him courage. John Carter, one elder began, speaking slowly and clearly. Lyra translated carefully. Your actions have changed how we see humans. Your courage and heart have inspired hope and respect across our world. We invite you to speak before the assembly, to share your vision of unity and trust between our people. John felt a mixture of pride and nervousness. He had never sought to speak before a council, much less inspire an entire world. Yet he knew that this was important. He had survived for a reason, and now he had the chance to make a lasting impact. He nodded. I will speak, he said quietly. The assembly hall was vast and glowing, filled with beings of every shape and form. Some stared curiously, some whispered, but all watched intently as John stepped forward. Lyra stood beside him, translating his words and offering gentle support. I am John Carter, he began, his voice steady. I am a human. I survived when many expected me to die. I survived because I acted with heart, with courage, and with a desire to protect others. Humans, we are not perfect. We make mistakes. We fail. But when it matters most, we try. We endure. We protect. We care. He paused, letting his words sink in. The assembly was silent, every eye upon him. I did not survive alone, he continued. Princess Lyra, her people, the healers, the soldiers, they saved me. They showed me that even in a world so different from mine, connection, care, and trust matter. We are stronger together. We can learn from each other. We can protect each other. Humans and your people can create a bond that brings hope, strength, and unity. The hall was quiet for a moment, then slowly, whispers turned to nods. Some members of the assembly leaned forward, considering his words. Lyra smiled softly. She knew that John's words were touching hearts, bridging a gap between worlds that had never understood one another. An elder rose, speaking with a tone of respect. Lyra translated. John Carter, your courage has not only saved lives but has changed perceptions. Your words remind us that strength is not only in power or technology but in heart, loyalty, and the will to protect. We honor you, and we honor the human people you represent. John felt his chest tighten. He had never imagined such recognition. He had only survived, acted with care, and done what he thought was right. Yet here, in this alien world, he saw that even the smallest acts of courage could ripple outward, changing minds and hearts. After the assembly, John and Lyra walked through the palace gardens. The air was warm and fragrant, the plants glowing softly under the alien sun. John felt a deep sense of peace he had not felt since before the battle. He had faced death, survived, and now he had the chance to make a difference in a world far from his own. John, Lyra said gently, your presence here has changed everything. Humans are no longer seen as fragile or unknown. You have shown that courage, heart, and loyalty transcend species, and you have changed my heart as well. John looked at her, a strange warmth spreading through him. He had felt gratitude, awe, and respect before, but now he realized something deeper. He cared for Lyra in a way he could not fully describe. Her presence, her belief in him, and her courage had touched him profoundly. Lyra, he said softly, I feel the same. You showed me care, trust, and courage when I thought I had nothing left. You stayed with me, believed in me, and helped me find purpose. I don't know what I would have done without you. She reached for his hand, her touch gentle but steady. We did this together, she said. Your courage, my guidance, together we created change. And together we will continue to do so. Your survival is not just yours, it belongs to all of us, to both our peoples. In the weeks that followed, John and Lyra worked closely with the Council to strengthen bonds between humans and the alien world. He shared stories of Earth, human courage, and simple truths about loyalty and care. Lyra translated, adding her own insights and encouragement. Slowly, the people of the alien world began to see humans not as myths or weak creatures, but as allies, as beings capable of great courage and heart. John realized that his journey had come full circle. He had survived the impossible, endured pain and fear, and now he was helping to create understanding, respect, and trust across worlds. He had begun as a soldier, uncertain and alone, and now he had become a bridge between civilizations, a symbol of what humans could offer: courage, loyalty, and the will to protect others. One evening, John and Lyra walked together through the palace halls, the glow of the lights reflecting softly on the walls. Children and soldiers watched them pass, some curious, some admiring. John felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had never sought glory, but he had found purpose, respect, and connection. "John," Lyra said softly, "your journey is not over, but now you understand something important. Survival alone is not enough. Courage, heart, and trust, they are what create change. And you have all of these in abundance." John nodded, feeling the weight and truth of her words. He had faced death and survived. He had inspired a world that had doubted him. He had formed a bond with someone extraordinary. And now he understood that his life had meaning beyond himself. "I will continue," he said firmly. "I will continue to protect, to inspire, to show that humans have heart, courage, and loyalty. And I will do it with you, Lyra. Together, we can make a difference." Lyra smiled, her eyes shining. "Together," she agreed. And so John Carter, the human soldier who had been expected to die, stood beside Lyra, the alien princess who had never left him. Together they had bridged worlds, changed perceptions, and shown that courage and heart could overcome fear, doubt, and death itself. The glowing city stretched out before them, lights shimmering like stars. John felt a profound sense of peace. He had survived, he had inspired, and he had found a bond that would endure. The future was uncertain, but with courage, trust, and heart, he knew they could face anything. In the quiet moments, as the twin suns set and the palace hummed softly around them, John understood that he had been given a gift far greater than survival. He had been given the chance to show the best of humanity, to change a world, and to stand beside someone who believed in him completely. And in that moment, John Carter, the human who had thought he was dead, realized that life, courage, and connection were the greatest victories of all. Together, John and Lyra would face the stars, not as strangers or enemies, but as allies, as friends, as a human and an alien united by courage, heart, and the unbreakable bond forged through survival and trust. Their story, simple yet extraordinary, became a legend, a story of hope, courage, and the power of connection that would be remembered across worlds for generations to come.